This is Monty with Build Brothers, starting my digital inspection for a realtor. We are at a property in the Miramar area, and what we're looking at here is a architectural asphalt shingle roof. There are a couple things going on here that I wanted to point out. So we always like to start underneath the eaves just to get an idea of the condition of the wood. Now the eaves consist of, we have the fascia board, we have the rafter tails, and then we have the starter boards. There were a couple areas that I did see a tiny bit of wood rot. Not really on this front section near the garage, but towards the front door, I did see a little bit of wood rot over here on the fascia. So you can see that right here. And then looks like we have a tad bit on this shadow board that's peeking up underneath the drip edge. But anywho, moving on. So we got 2 layers of shingle on this roof. We do have drip edge. It's kind of flush with the fascia board. So ideally we want it to stick out just a little bit more. So anytime that rain comes down, well, it's going to allow the drip edge to do its thing, and then that water will flow off of the fascia board. And you can see some water streaks, after the previous rain. So these shingles were installed recently. You can see they're relatively new. And one part that we like to point out and take a look at is the chimney. The chimney is going to be a sensitive area that we like to pay close attention to and make sure it's properly flashed. We do have step flashing and counter flashing. Looks to be sealed, so that looks good. All right, we always like to look around the penetrations as well, make sure that the sealant is intact and it is not broken. This seal looks like it was broken, and this just happens over time when that mastic begins to dry out in the sun. We do have exhaust ventilation, O'Hagan vents. We have a couple here. We like to see that. We like using the low profile O'Hagan vents. But something I missed actually is a little bit of damage to the shingle tabs. So I noticed a scratch right here. I'm not sure what this is from, but it looks like the shingle took a little bit of damage. And now the main thing, or the main concern with this roof was the way the solar was installed. So we do have a solar system on here, and what we have are the standoffs are actually bolted in, and there's no flashing on these standoffs. And another thing you can see that is going on here is we don't have any rails on these anchor points. So it's a railless and flashless standoff solar system. And this was a method that is used by a couple solar companies, but we actually stopped installing solar like this because of the way this is installed. You can see how it's bolted into the roofing material, and then what they actually do is they seal it off. So the reason why we stopped installing solar this way is because it posed issues along the line, and could lead to implications. So that's why we no longer install solar like this. We actually use flashings with the standoff, so that flashing actually gets tucked up underneath the shingle tab. So that's why that way we don't need to bolt these anchor points in. And you can see that there's quite a bit of damage to the shingle tabs as well right here. So it looks like when this was installed, the shingles actually took quite a bit of damage, and you can see some sealant repair on here as well. So just wanted to note that. There is a proper seam stagger on the shingles from what I can tell, at least 6 inches apart. Looks like there is a fall safety anchor point that was patched up, most likely installed while they were putting in the solar. But the seam stagger I want to point out is right here. So on each course, it's at least 6 inches. This one, I don't know, it's not that consistent. There's a couple courses that don't follow this pattern. Like so, it kind of skips a course. I also want to move on to this roof. So compared to the front, you can see the clear difference between this drip edge and what was on the front section, right? You can see there's a little bit of space. So anytime it rains, that water actually drips off and it doesn't soak into the fascia board. This is what ideally it's supposed to look like. Looks like some more sealant was dabbled on over here. And then we do have proper roof to wall step flashing and counter flashing right here. So that is a good sign. And then we weren't able to really point it out on the front here. Let's see if we can kind of see it. But on this front section, I don't know if we can really see it from right here, but if you look along the wall, we have some flashing missing. So we're missing the roof to wall and counter flashing just on the front part above the garage. And similarly to what it looks like over here, that's what we're supposed to see, right? This is what's missing on the front. So yeah, I will give this out to the realtor and go over some options on what we can do with this roof. Thank you.